Luna Pearl found her 3-year-old daughter standing over the baby's crib at 2 a.m., holding a kitchen knife she couldn't possibly reach. "I was just checking if Marcus was still breathing, Mommy," Emma whispered with those innocent blue eyes that suddenly looked ancient in the darkness. The knife clattered to the floor as Luna's scream shattered the night silence. But what terrified her most wasn't the weapon, it was Emma's disappointed sigh, as if her mother had interrupted something important that couldn't be finished now. Luna's world tilted sideways. Emma, her beautiful, brilliant daughter with golden curls and ocean blue eyes, had been drawing disturbing images for weeks. What started as innocent family portraits had evolved into something that made seasoned child care professionals uncomfortable. Luna had dismissed the first few drawings as typical childhood imagination, but this one was different. This one showed deliberate detail that no 3-year-old should possess. The sticky August heat pressed against the daycare windows as Luna studied the drawing more carefully. Each stick figure was labeled in Emma's careful attempt at letters: Mama, Dada, Emmy, and Baby. The red pools weren't random scribbles. They were positioned precisely where blood would flow from fatal wounds. Luna's hands shook as she noticed something that made her stomach drop. The baby figure had been erased and redrawn multiple times, as if Emma had been perfecting the positioning. "Has she said anything about these drawings?" Luna asked, her voice barely audible. The director, Mrs. Henderson, had worked with children for 30 years. Her weathered face carried the weight of countless difficult conversations, but Luna could see something different in her eyes today. Fear. Yesterday, she told another child that families go to sleep forever when they get tired of being families. Mrs. Henderson said slowly. When I asked her to explain, she just smiled and said her dolls taught her that. "Luna, I've never seen a child her age demonstrate such awareness of mortality. It's deeply concerning." Luna's mind raced back to recent events at home. Emma had been unusually quiet during dinner conversations, often staring at her baby brother Marcus with an intensity that made Luna uncomfortable. She'd started asking strange questions. Why do people cry when pets go away forever? And what happens to families when someone disappears? Luna had attributed these curiosities to normal childhood development, but now everything felt sinister. The drive home felt endless. Luna kept glancing in the rearview mirror at Emma, who sat peacefully in her car seat, humming a melody Luna didn't recognize. The child's innocent appearance contrasted sharply with the dark images she'd been creating. How could someone so small harbor such disturbing thoughts? Luna remembered reading about childhood behavioral patterns in her psychology courses years ago, but nothing had prepared her for this possibility in her own family. At home, Luna decided to investigate Emma's room while her daughter napped. What she discovered made her blood run cold. Hidden beneath Emma's mattress were dozens of drawings, each more disturbing than the last. They depicted families in various states of distress, crying figures, broken houses, and repeatedly images of babies in dangerous situations. The artistic progression was unmistakable. Emma's understanding of violence had been developing systematically. More alarming were the dolls. Emma's beloved collection of baby dolls had been arranged in disturbing tableaux throughout her room. Some were positioned as if sleeping permanently, others appeared to be comforting crying parent dolls. Luna noticed that several doll limbs had been carefully detached and reattached, as if Emma had been experimenting with anatomy. The precision was chilling for someone barely out of toddlerhood. Luna's husband, David, arrived home to find her sitting on their bed, surrounded by the evidence of their daughter's secret world. His initial skepticism melted away as he examined each drawing, each doll arrangement. The couple who had celebrated Emma's early reading abilities and advanced vocabulary now faced a terrifying question. Was their child demonstrating early signs of something unthinkable? "We need professional help," David whispered, his voice cracking with emotion. "This isn't normal childhood behavior, Luna. These images show planning, intention, and knowledge that she shouldn't possess." That evening, as Luna tucked Emma into bed, her daughter looked up with those impossibly blue eyes and asked, "Mama, why do grown-ups get scared when children know things?" The question hung in the air like a challenge, and Luna realized that Emma had been aware of their discovery all along. The 3-year-old had been watching, calculating, and perhaps testing the boundaries of her parents' tolerance. Luna kissed her daughter's forehead, fighting back tears. Sometimes grown-ups worry when children think about sad things. "Sweetheart," Emma's response chilled Luna to the bone. "But sad things happen anyway, Mama, even when we don't think about them. Especially to families like ours." As Luna closed Emma's bedroom door, she made a decision that would change everything. Tomorrow, she would call Dr. Sarah Martinez, a child psychologist who specialized in early behavioral intervention. Whatever was happening with Emma, whatever darkness was growing behind those innocent eyes, Luna was determined to understand it before it was too late. The house settled into nighttime quiet, but Luna couldn't sleep. She found herself standing outside Emma's door, listening to her daughter's soft breathing and wondering what dreams filled the mind of a 3-year-old who drew death with such careful precision. The real nightmare, Luna realized, was just beginning. Dr. Sarah Martinez's office felt like a sanctuary designed to put children at ease, but Luna noticed how Emma's eyes immediately cataloged every exit, every potential hiding spot, every breakable object within reach. The child psychologist, renowned for her work with troubled youth, had agreed to see Emma despite her unusually young age. Most children Emma's age engage with toys immediately. Dr. Martinez observed quietly as Emma remained seated, hands folded, studying the doctor with unnerving intensity. "She's assessing the situation first." That level of strategic thinking is quite advanced. Luna watched her daughter from behind one-way glass, her heart breaking as she witnessed Emma's calculated behavior. The little girl who had once delighted in simple pleasures now moved through the world like she was solving complex puzzles. When Dr. Martinez introduced various toys, Emma selected them based on some internal criteria that seemed far beyond her years. "Tell me about your family, Emma," Dr. Martinez said gently, settling cross-legged on the floor to appear less threatening. Emma's response sent chills through both women. "Families are like puzzles," Emma said matter-of-factly. Sometimes pieces don't fit right, so you have to change them or throw them away. Her voice carried no emotion, no typical childhood inflection. She spoke like someone much older, someone who had reached disturbing conclusions about human relationships. Dr. Martinez introduced a dollhouse, and Emma's engagement transformed completely. She began arranging the family figures with meticulous care, creating scenarios that made Luna's stomach turn. The mother doll was frequently isolated, the father doll positioned aggressively, and the baby doll. The baby doll was repeatedly placed in precarious situations throughout the house. "What's happening to the baby?" Dr. Martinez asked carefully. "The baby makes everyone unhappy," Emma replied, moving the tiny figure to the edge of the dollhouse stairs. "Babies cry and take attention away from important children. Sometimes babies need to go away so families can be peaceful again." Luna pressed her hand against the glass, fighting the urge to rush into the room. David squeezed her shoulder, both parents struggling to process their daughter's words. This wasn't typical sibling rivalry. This was something far more calculated and concerning. During the second hour, Dr. Martinez introduced art therapy. Emma's drawings in the clinical setting were even more disturbing than those found at home. She drew with purpose, explaining each element as if teaching a lesson. "This is how families look when they're pretending to be happy," she said, drawing smiling faces with tears underneath. "And this is how they look when they stop pretending." The follow-up drawing showed the same family with one less figure. When asked about the missing person, Emma simply said, "Some people aren't needed anymore." Her matter-of-fact tone suggested this wasn't a fantasy. It was a conclusion she had reached through careful observation and analysis. Dr. Martinez's expression grew increasingly grave as the session continued. Emma demonstrated advanced understanding of emotional manipulation, describing how different behaviors elicited specific responses from adults. She spoke about making her baby brother cry by pinching him when parents weren't looking, then comforting him to appear caring when they returned. "She's not just acting out," Dr. Martinez explained to Luna and David during a private consultation. "Emma is exhibiting signs of callous unemotional traits typically associated with conduct disorder. At 3 years old, this is extraordinarily rare and deeply concerning. She's demonstrating planned aggression, lack of empathy, and manipulative behavior that suggests significant neurological differences." The most disturbing revelation came when Dr. Martinez asked Emma about her drawings of families going to sleep forever. Emma's response was chilling in its precision. When families get too complicated, sometimes the complicated parts need to be removed. Like when you clean a toy, you throw away the broken pieces so the good pieces can work better. Luna felt the world spinning around her. The daughter she had nursed, loved, and celebrated was describing human relationships in terms of disposal and utility. Emma wasn't just having disturbing thoughts. She was developing a philosophy that devalued human life based on perceived usefulness. "What do we do?" David asked, his voice hollow with grief and fear. "How do we help her?" Dr. Martinez's response was sobering. Early intervention is crucial, but Emma's case is complex. She's intellectually gifted, emotionally detached, and demonstrating behavioral patterns that typically develop much later. We need to start intensive therapy immediately, and you'll need to implement strict safety protocols at home, especially regarding baby Marcus. The drive home was silent except for Emma's cheerful chatter about the fun doctor and the interesting toys. She seemed genuinely pleased with the experience, as if she had enjoyed the intellectual challenge of the psychological evaluation. Luna realized with horror that Emma had likely been performing for Dr. Martinez, revealing just enough to seem cooperative while maintaining control of the narrative. That evening, Luna installed a baby monitor in Emma's room and deadbolts on Marcus's nursery door. The house that had once felt like a haven now felt like a carefully monitored facility. Emma noticed the changes immediately, her blue eyes tracking each modification with calculating interest. "Are you worried about something, Mama?" Emma asked innocently during dinner, but Luna caught the slight smile that didn't reach her daughter's eyes. Emma knew exactly what her parents were worried about, and she seemed to find their fear amusing. As Luna bathed Emma that night, her daughter asked, "When will the doctor lady come back?" "I have more things to show her." The anticipation in Emma's voice suggested she viewed the psychological evaluation as a game she was eager to continue playing. Luna tucked Emma into bed, kissed her goodnight, and activated the monitor system. As she closed the door, she heard Emma's voice through the speaker. "Good night, Mama. Don't worry about Marcus tonight. I'm too tired for complicated things." The reassurance felt more like a threat, and Luna realized their nightmare was just beginning to unfold. Luna's world shattered completely at 3:17 when the baby monitor crackled to life. Emma's voice, eerily calm and methodical, drifted through the speaker. "Shh, Marcus. Stop crying now. I'm trying to help you sleep forever like the dollies." Luna bolted upright, David already racing toward the nursery. They found Emma standing beside Marcus's crib, a pillow clutched in her small hands, her brother's cries muffled beneath it. David snatched Emma away while Luna swept Marcus into her arms, checking his breathing, counting his heartbeats, whispering desperate prayers of gratitude that they had arrived in time. "I was helping him," Emma said matter-of-factly, showing no remorse or understanding of the gravity of her actions. "He was making sad noises. I wanted to make him peaceful like my dolls." Her casual tone while describing attempted suffocation sent ice through Luna's veins. This wasn't a game or childhood curiosity. This was deliberate, planned violence. Dr. Martinez's emergency consultation confirmed Luna's worst fears. Emma required immediate residential treatment. "She's demonstrating active homicidal ideation toward her sibling," the psychologist explained gravely. "This goes beyond concerning behavior. Emma poses a genuine threat to Marcus's safety and potentially to yours as well." The decision to place Emma in a specialized facility for troubled children felt like cutting out Luna's heart with her own hands. The Riverside Children's Behavioral Center, 3 hours away, specialized in treating young children with severe conduct disorders. Luna packed Emma's belongings with tears streaming down her face, each folded dress a reminder of the innocent child she thought she knew. Emma's reaction to the news was unsettling. Instead of crying or protesting, she seemed almost excited. "Will there be other interesting children there?" she asked, her eyes bright with curiosity. "Will they understand the things I think about?" Luna realized with horror that Emma viewed this as an opportunity rather than a consequence. The intake process at Riverside was clinical and heartbreaking. Emma submitted to evaluations and interviews with the enthusiasm of someone attending summer camp. She answered questions about her violent fantasies with scientific precision, describing her experiments with her dolls as if presenting research findings. "Your daughter is remarkably articulate about her aggressive impulses," Dr. Rebecca Chen, the facility director, explained to Luna and David. "Most children her age lack the vocabulary to express such complex thoughts about violence. Emma not only understands her desires to hurt others, but can strategize about how to accomplish them." Luna watched through observation windows as Emma interacted with other troubled children. Within hours, she had identified the most vulnerable kids and began subtle manipulation tactics. She offered comfort to crying children, then used their disclosed fears against them later. She shared toys strategically, creating debt relationships she could exploit. Emma wasn't just adapting to her environment, she was actively working to control it. The most chilling observation came during Emma's first group therapy session. When asked to draw her family, she created a picture showing only herself and her parents. Marcus was completely absent from the image, as if he had never existed. When the therapist asked about missing family members, Emma simply said, "I only drew the important people." Dr. Chen's progress reports painted a disturbing picture of Emma's psychological development. "She's demonstrating what we call instrumental aggression," the doctor explained during a family meeting. Emma doesn't hurt others out of anger or impulse. She hurts them to achieve specific goals. This level of calculated violence in someone so young suggests significant neurological differences that may be irreversible. Luna's visits to Riverside became exercises in emotional torture. Emma would greet her with perfect mimicry of loving behavior, hugs, kisses, declarations of missing home. But Luna could see the performance in her daughter's eyes, the careful calculation behind each gesture. Emma had learned that displaying appropriate emotions earned privileges and shortened her treatment timeline. "She's studying you," Dr. Chen observed after one particularly manipulative visit. "Emma is learning which buttons to push to elicit the responses she wants. Her affection isn't genuine, it's strategic. She's treating your relationship like a complex problem to be solved." The breakthrough came during Emma's 4th week at Riverside. Another child, 5-year-old Tommy, was found unconscious in the playroom with suspicious injuries. Security footage revealed Emma systematically isolating Tommy, then striking him with a wooden block when staff weren't watching. When confronted, Emma's only concern was that she had been caught, not that she had seriously injured another child. "I was teaching him not to take my favorite puzzle pieces," Emma explained clinically. "Now he knows better. I helped him learn an important lesson about respecting other people's things. Her Complete lack of empathy for Tommy's pain confirmed the medical team as worst fears about her psychological development. Dr. Chun's updated diagnosis was devastating. Emma exhibits severe callous unemotional traits consistent with psychopathic tendencies. At 3 years old, this represents one of the youngest cases we've documented. Her capacity for empathy appears fundamentally impaired, and her aggressive behaviors are escalating despite intensive intervention. Luna left that meeting feeling like she was mourning a death, the death of the daughter she thought she had, the death of the family life she had imagined, the death of her dreams for Emma's future. The beautiful, brilliant child she had carried and birthed had become someone she couldn't recognize, someone she was beginning to fear. That night, Luna sat in Emma's empty bedroom, surrounded by the toys and drawings that now seemed like evidence in a criminal investigation. She realized that Emma's evil hadn't emerged at 3, it had been there all along, hidden behind golden curls and blue eyes, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. The phone call from Dr. Chen came at midnight. Emma has been placed in maximum security isolation. She attempted to harm her roommate with a sharpened toothbrush handle. Luna, we need to discuss long-term placement options. Emma may never be safe to return home. 6 months after Emma's placement in maximum security, Luna discovered the journal hidden in her daughter's former bedroom. Written in Emma's careful 3-year-old handwriting, mixed with disturbing drawings, it revealed a truth more terrifying than Luna had ever imagined. Emma hadn't simply developed antisocial behaviors, she had been documenting her experiments on the family for months. Day 12. Mama cried when I pinched baby. Good to know. Day 18. Dada gets angry when toys break. Baby breaks easier than toys. Day 23. Nobody sees when I practice on dollies. Real practice soon. The entries read like a researcher's notes. Clinical observations of human emotional responses that Emma had been collecting systematically. Dr. Chun's voice was grave during their final consultation. Emma's case has been documented for clinical research. In 30 years of practice, I've never encountered someone so young with such developed predatory instincts. She views other people as objects to be manipulated or eliminated, based solely on their usefulness to her goals. Luna learned that Emma's progress reports had been fabrications. The staff had discovered she was teaching other children advanced manipulation techniques, creating a network of troubled kids who followed her instructions. Emma had turned the treatment facility into her personal laboratory, studying the effects of psychological pressure on vulnerable minds. The most devastating revelation came from security footage that hadn't been reviewed until weeks after incidents occurred. Emma had been systematically tormenting Marcus since his birth, not just during the final attempted suffocation. She had been pinching him, covering his face briefly, and testing his reflexes to determine optimal methods for causing distress without leaving evidence. She was perfecting her technique, Dr. Chun explained with clinical detachment. Emma wasn't acting on impulse during that final incident. She was implementing months of careful research. If you hadn't installed the monitors when you did, Marcus wouldn't have survived. Luna realized that every sweet moment she remembered with Emma had been calculated performance. The affectionate hugs, the helpful behavior, the advanced vocabulary, all of it had been Emma studying her parents' responses and adapting her behavior to maintain access to her true target, Marcus. The journal revealed Emma's long-term planning in chilling detail. She had identified Marcus as the problem piece in her family puzzle from the moment he arrived. Her drawings and doll experiments hadn't been random violent fantasies. They had been detailed planning sessions for his elimination. Page 45. When baby gone, Mama and Dada will be happy again. I will be the only important child. Everything will be perfect like before. Luna's hand shook as she read her daughter's methodical plan for murder, written in the innocent handwriting of a toddler. Dr. Chen's final assessment confirmed that Emma would require lifelong institutional care. She lacks the fundamental neurological structures that create empathy and moral reasoning. Emma will never understand why hurting others is wrong. She can only learn to hide her true nature more effectively. Releasing her into society would be unconscionable. Luna's last visit to see Emma was a revelation. Her daughter, now 4 years old, had grown more sophisticated in her manipulation attempts. She performed grief beautifully, begging to come home, promising to be good, displaying every emotion except the one that mattered, genuine remorse. I miss Marcus, Emma said with practiced sadness. I want to give him hugs and kisses when I come home. But Luna caught the slight gleam in Emma's eyes. The micro-expression that revealed her true intentions hadn't changed. Emma was simply learning to lie more convincingly. She's studying your reactions even now, Dr. Chen observed afterward. Emma views this conversation as data collection for her next manipulation attempt. She's not feeling grief about separation. She's feeling frustrated that her plans were interrupted. Luna made the hardest decision of her life that day. She signed papers relinquishing parental rights, ensuring Emma would remain in institutional care permanently. The daughter she had carried, birthed, and loved was lost forever, not to death, but to something far more final, the complete absence of humanity. Driving away from Riverside for the last time, Luna understood that evil doesn't announce itself with obvious signs. It hides behind innocent faces, develops in brilliant minds, and grows stronger when fed by trust and love. Emma's evil had been nurtured by every bedtime story, every proud moment, every expression of unconditional parental love that she had interpreted as weakness to be exploited. The media attention was inevitable once Emma's case was published in psychiatric journals. Headlines screamed about the youngest documented psychopath and the 3-year-old killer. Luna refused all interview requests, protecting Marcus from the circus surrounding his sister's infamy. Marcus, now 18 months old, showed no signs of his sister's disorders. He displayed normal empathy, appropriate emotional responses, and healthy attachment behaviors. But Luna found herself watching him constantly, analyzing every expression, questioning every action. Emma's evil had poisoned more than just herself. It had contaminated Luna's ability to trust completely in innocence. Years later, Luna learned that Emma had become a case study taught in universities worldwide. Students learned about her systematic approach to violence, her advanced manipulation techniques, and her complete lack of remorse. Emma had achieved a twisted form of immortality, remembered not for good, but for representing the darkest possibilities of human nature. The final truth was the most painful. Luna still loved the daughter who had tried to murder her son. That love would forever be tainted by knowledge, but it remained. Perhaps that was Emma's most successful manipulation of all, ensuring that even after everything, her mother would carry the burden of loving a monster. Luna's message to other parents was simple but urgent. Evil can begin at any age. Trust your instincts. Question disturbing behaviors. Seek professional help immediately. And remember that sometimes the most dangerous predators wear the faces of children we love. Don't let this story end here. If this psychological journey has opened your eyes to the hidden darkness that can lurk behind innocent faces, subscribe for more disturbing true crime and psychological analysis. Share this story to warn other parents about the early warning signs. Comment below with your thoughts. Have you ever encountered a child who displayed concerning behaviors? Your engagement helps us continue bringing these important psychological insights to light. Remember, awareness is the first line of defense against the unthinkable.